What is going on, Raider Nation? What is going on? It is your boy Darian coming to you live with another video. It is the Spotlight Raiders Talk. Shout out to all the subscribers that have subscribed to the YouTube page. And this is your first time ever being at our YouTube page. I would suggest that you subscribe and hit that bell button to get the latest news and all Raiders news. But we're here with another Raiders video. And in this video, we have the 3 bold predictions for the Las Vegas Raiders offense in 2020. With the Las Vegas Raiders offense reloading with a new arsenal and key players returning, there are some bold predictions for the Raiders offense in 2020, in my personal opinion. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders are reloading on offense as a priority in 2020 and in the offseason as they spent a combination of free agency and draft capital to solidify each position group on that side of the ball. Now, with wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, offensive linemen were added to either start or provide depth for the least on paper and grow from the 2019 to the 2020 season to already be impressive. Now, despite limited weapons and injuries at key positions, the Raiders offense in 2019 was still at the top half of the NFL, and many may say in a lot of key stat categories, but fell short in the red zone where it most counted the most. Now, they did have a scheme to move the ball between the 20s by running the ball and controlling the clock and wearing down the defenses, but did not have talent to convert those long drives into touchdowns. That should be no longer the case in 2020. The QB, Derek Carr, has weapons at every position on the group. Now, you can say that he have, key one-on-one matchups. Carr could also have players who can turn those horizontal routes into screens and become very diverse in the Raider Nation explosive plays. Now, everything is set up for Carr or whoever is under center for the Raiders to succeed in this offense to take a leap in 2020. With that in mind, here are some of the 3 bold predictions that the Raiders offense will have in 2020. All right, so the first bold prediction that we do have on our list is that Derek Carr will set career highs in TDs and in yards. Now, after 6 seasons as a starter, Derek Carr is already the most prolific passer in history in the Raiders franchise. Carr did surpass Kenny Stabler in 2019 in his nearly 4,000 yards ahead of Snake, should continue to grow if he remains the starter. He also just 7 touchdowns behind Stabler despite playing nearly 40 games less, but all could do is chalk up a wide open area for football that Carr definitely did play in. Given all the weapons that Carr had at his disposal in 2020, there is no reason a bearing injury that he does not set the career highs in yards and touchdowns. Carr's best yardage season was in 2019 when he threw for 4,454 yards, and his best touchdown mark in 2015 when he threw for 32 touchdowns just in 16 games. That touchdown mark was set when Carr had likes of Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper, Seth Roberts lined up alongside of him, and 2020 receiver group is arguably just as deep thanks to the new additions. Now, Carr also had a huge upgrade at tight end in Darren Waller, who is among the best at his position at the 2 goal line studs with Jason Witten and Foster Moreau. 30 touchdowns is an absolute baseline considering an additional weapons for the Raiders added to the draft, and 35 of the 40 touchdown seasons is very possible. Similar to the touchdowns and new weapons on the offense, it would be boon to Carr in the terms of passing yards. But when we see highlights reels of Henry Ruggs' ability to catch the ball, turn 5 yards into a 50-yard touchdown, and the threat of Josh Jacobs underneath the passing game should open up things down the field for John Gruden's plays. In 2019, 5 quarterbacks threw for 4,500 yards or more, and Derek Carr should be on that list in 2020. The Raiders will have 5 Pro Bowlers on offense. Now, this is another bold prediction that I have for myself as well. And after the 2019 season, the Raiders led 2 players named to the Pro Bowl roster, offensive linemen Trent Brown and Rodney Hudson. Darren Waller would have been an alternate to Kansas City Travis Kelce, but the thumb injury ruled him out, and he was unable to add a Pro Bowler to his growing resume. As Hudson and Brown are arguably the 2 best players at their respective positions, we can assume that if healthy, they'll be named yet another Pro Bowl roster. But our bold prediction, and my bold prediction, is that the Raiders offense will have 5 offensive players named to the Pro Bowl. That is including Derek Carr, Darren Waller, and Josh Jacobs. Now, Derek Carr has already been named to the Pro Bowl 3 times in his career. Now, if he takes an advantage at all the new weapons, he should be making a 4th trip in the 2020 season. The departure of Tom Brady to the NFC removes one of the top QBs who could get the votes from Carr and give him a great chance of being named on the roster if he's at his best. Darren Waller already had a Pro Bowl caliber season. It could be argued that he is deserved of a nod ahead of Baltimore's Mark Andrews in 2019 to be named on the original roster. If Waller can become the type of player that he was replicating the 2019 season campaign, especially for a few more touchdowns, then he should be a shoe-in for that honor to go into the Pro Bowl. Josh Jacobs faces one of the toughest tests that he will have to unseat Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, and Mark Ingram as one of the AFC best backs. Jacobs outrushed Ingram by more than 100 yards in fewer games, but Ingram higher touchdown total and the role of the AFC's number 1 seed likely is for him to get the nod. Ingram will likely be splitting carries with rookie J.K. Dobbins, and other competitors like Leonard Fournette and Joe Mixon are on the rebuilding teams, which clear a path for further for Josh Jacobs. The last time the Raiders had 5 Pro Bowlers in 2016, it was Derek Carr, Hudson, Amari Cooper, Osmelly, and Donald Penn. They were all named to the roster. If all these things go to plan in 2020, the offense should be good, if not better than 2016's, and get the recognition it deserves in a postseason showcase. And a third bold prediction is the Raiders will have a top 10 offense. As discussed in many times in opening paragraph, the 2019 Raiders offense had all the makings of a top offense in between the 20s. But the Raiders were 11th in total yards and 9th in passing and 13th in rushing yards and 6th in yards per play. They could move up the ball up and down the field most of the time, but the 2 factors held them out from making that leap, and penalties and inability to finish drives with a score. Those 2 factors were linked by promising drives that were derailed by penalties opposing teams, drives that definitely extended plays by penalties, and the Raiders were 3rd in the league at 128 penalties, only 3 teams in the top 15, and that stats made in the playoffs in 2019. In terms of scoring, the Raiders offense were 21st in the league and finishing drives with a score at 32.9%, with that being 24th in points per game. So that will help the Raiders turn all of these yards into points and help them become a top 5 offense. The simple answer is that they have more talent and more depth at every skill position on offense. The lack of talent at the wide receiver position at times is overstated in some games in 2019. Now, the Raiders in Week 5 against Chicago, for example, rolled out a wide receiver group of Hunter Renfrow, Keelan Doss, and Trevor Davis. The drop from the preseason projected lineup was Antonio Brown, Tyrell Williams, Ryan Grant was a dramatic at the fact that the Raiders offense was able to show a testament of abilities of Derek Carr and John Gruden's offense. Now, the addition of Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards, which will help the Raiders get more chunk plays down the field and give options that Carr will have a red zone machine and Lynn Bowden Jr. with a Jason Witten, Foster Moreau, and it gives John Gruden more choice to scheme around. Even with the backup, Marcus Mariota can be a part of these goal line or red zone packages to give the offense an extra wrinkle or two in that defense that will help be accounted for. Now, with all these weapons on the roster and the depth chart added at every position, the sky is the limit for the Raiders offense in 2020, and a top 10 will be a minimum that the Raider Nation should expect. In 2016, the Raiders were with the 7th ranked scoring offense and went 12-4 record, and with a playoff trip, and the Cards expect a similar offensive output in 2020. Now, I have to say this, is that I believe in these bold predictions because these are my bold predictions as well. And I feel like all these bold predictions can really happen for us depending on how our schedule is. Knowing that we already know what the schedule is, I feel as though that we have the advantage to do what we could do offensively. And the defense can't stop everybody on our offense. They're going to have to shut down one person, and that next person is going to have to step up. So in my personal opinion, as I see this, these are my 3 bold predictions for the Las Vegas Raiders offense going into 2020. And I'm sticking about it. I feel like we will have 5 Pro Bowlers. I do feel like we'll have a top 10 offense. I do feel like we have a great year for Derek Carr that might have an MVP season. I do believe in all these predictions. So people can say what they want about our picks in the draft. They can say what they want about our offense. They can say whatever they want about what happened last year when we went 7-9. But at the end of the day, the Raiders will be better than 7-9 coming into 2020. Watch when I tell y'all. But let me know what y'all think about this video. Let me know what y'all think about this video. Make sure y'all smash that thumb button. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all subscribe as well so y'all can let me know what in the comments as well. And that, comment, like, and subscribe. That's all we want y'all to do is show us mad love. My name is Darian from the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and I will see y'all in the next video.